Jump to my profile. There we are. Perfect. Okay, so I am just going to mute this. Perfect. And I want to introduce Tania. Oh, Denitra. Oh, I love it. Thank you. I'm just gonna let her in. Okay. I want to introduce Tania. She is from Australia. Denitra, hi, how are you? I'm so excited that you're here. We're live from Edmonton, Alberta, and all the way across the globe from Australia with a very good friend of mine and co-author of Girl on the Left. And she's agreed to come on here and just talk about burnout, especially for the corporate woman, the busy mom. And what I like to do is I like to start off with what is going well in your week so far. So, Tania, can you tell me in a few sentences, not too long, what is going well?
Thank you, Jody, for having me here, and hi, everyone. So for me, I recently came back from an overseas trip and unfortunately got a virus along with my family. So for me, this week is starting the week off feeling so much better from a health perspective and, raring to go. So that's the one for me this week.
Oh, that's so good. Sorry if you hear that dinging all of a sudden. Um, yeah, I just got back from Toronto, so which is a 3-hour flight, and just the impact that we've had about, women in leadership. And I got to visit with so many women, three from Australia, one from Saigon, some from the States. Like it was just a wide variety of women leaders, and just to hear how we're all kind of on the same page and what's up and coming in women leadership is so incredibly exciting. So, Denitra, I would love to put you on the spot. If you're able to, just go ahead and unmute yourself and just tell us one thing that's going well in your week.
Well, I am also planning an event, and it's very exciting when you can actually plan an event that has a lot of very strong women. I'm traveling to Toronto as well, Jody. I'll be leaving on Friday to attend a menopause show in the Metro Toronto Convention Center. So this show is my first live panelist show outside of a corporate environment. So it's a little nerve-wracking, but it's very exciting. So when you're talking about burnout, Jody, I'm excited, but I'm also feeling the stress of what if tickets don't sell? I've paid for the venue. Like all of this pressure is on me right now, although I'm super excited about it. And I'm, you know, fingers crossed, I'm going to sell some tickets. I'm trying to stay positive, but there's that stress
You will.
uh,
You will
that
sell
goes.
tickets, right? And that's a coaching technique, right? You set the date and you work backwards from that date. So that's amazing. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to turn over the amazing training that we're going to have today to Tania. And Tania, just tell us a little bit about yourself and like what you do and why you do it.
Yes, so again, thank you for having me here, Jody. I really appreciate it. And thanks to everyone that's either joining us live or watching the replay. Um, so my story is, actually, I might just jump over to that slide as well. So my story is, I spent 28 years in corporate, across various organizations and industries. My last role was as general manager of membership for a not-for-profit association, but a bulk of my career was as an executive assistant and then moving into the management and general manager role. And, I was operating under this myth of that you had to work hard in order to be successful, that you had to take minimal breaks because, that showed weakness or that you weren't committed, and that self-care was a luxury that I couldn't afford to take. And, a confession, I guess, from me is that around 5 years ago, I was the poster child for leadership burnout, and I didn't realize it. I was on the outside, what you'd see was, I was succeeding in what I was doing. I was hitting targets. I was managing teams successfully. I was climbing the corporate ladder. I was a go-to person within the organization, as well as particularly in the membership role I was in, all our members would come to me as well. So it looked like I was doing everything right. But internally, what I didn't realize at the time was that my nervous system was slowly burning out. And because this had been going on for so long, this was my normal, right? So I didn't know any different. And that came to a head for me in mid 2022 when I finished my MBA. Had never done any sort of study at that level. I've got 2 kids. I'm married, been married now for nearly 30 years coming up. My kids are 27 and 20 and 24. We went through the pandemic, all of that stuff. And mid 22, when I finished the MBA, I think it was about 6 to 8 weeks afterwards, I knew something wasn't right. And this was despite all the professional and personal development work I had done over the years. I was on the edge of burnout, and I didn't even realize it. And that point for me, it made me stop. I had to stop. But on reflection now, what it's been able to do is the silver lining has been going down this completely different path, which I didn't have planned out for myself at all. But I love and I feel so aligned to it that had I not gone through the burnout, I wouldn't be where I am now. So yeah, that's and having gone through the burnout, what I noticed I had to do is I had to stop. My body literally was mentally, physically, and emotionally exhausted. And this was on a whole other level. I'd never felt anything like this before. And I had to take time out to just reassess everything. Everything I knew from a professional perspective, but also from an internal perspective. And that was physically, but also mentally as well. I had to take the time to heal and to get through this period. And I think, one thing you and I touched on before, Jodie, was that, when you go through something like this, you think, oh, I need to go and see the doctor. I don't know what's going on here. I've never felt this before. Let me go and get a blood test done. Let me check my iron levels, that type of thing, because I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. And, going to see the GP, thankfully, my GP and I have a really good relationship, and she's known me for a long time. But having done all the tests, nothing was showing up. And she said, there's nothing here. Your iron levels are fine. And I said, but there's something not right. I can feel it in my body. There is something not right. And she actually said to me, look, we wouldn't typically do this, but I think you're in adrenal fatigue. You have adrenal fatigue. And that's what opened my eyes to start looking at, okay, what else do I need to be doing here and looking at here?
Can I jump in on that one?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so this is something that I see all the time in my women clients, especially like the busy moms or the corporate, is when we do our hormonal testing, adrenals are constantly showing up. And so many gurus out there will say, oh, we'll just treat the gut and everything will realign. And that's not the case. If we don't treat the adrenals. The adrenals control our mineral corticoids, our gluteal corticoids, and there's another one, and I'm just having a moment. So, but there is another one. And, you know, that is our whole stress response system. That's our 4-point cortisol levels. That is our sleeping habits and whether we're getting good quality of sleep. If women's adrenals and men's adrenals are not functioning correctly, and I say this all the time, we can do all the self-love and the care that we want. But if they don't have what it needs cellularly to repair, and vice versa, we're going to hit a glass ceiling every single time, and we're going to wonder why we're not getting better. And adrenals also control thyroid. And I say this all the time. If your thyroid's not affected now, it will be eventually. And then is it a true thyroid or is it an adrenal issue? And Western doctors, just like your Australian doctors, are not taught this. It's out of their protocols. So snaps to your doctor for deciding to go outside of protocol and look at them and even suggest that, because unless you check all the boxes, typically doctors are not allowed to say, I think this. Because it's a pathway, it's not a diagnosis, and they're not allowed to discuss pathways.
Yeah. And look, it's to no fault of their own. That, you know, as you mentioned, that's not what they're trained on. So, you know, they can't do that. But I think you're right. And her having done that, what it allowed me to do was then start looking at how can I support myself through supplementation, which I had always done, but obviously needed to relook at. But, you know, it's also interesting, the synchronicities of things that happened at that time too, because I had started working with a new mentor before I realized the burnout, and she was fantastic. Like, working with her was around, okay, you've completed your MBA, now what does your corporate career look like? But when I told her about what I was going through, then we were able to shift. She understood it. We were able to shift and look at what else is out there that might be an option for me. I also, you know, it might sound a bit woo-woo, but I cannot explain it, just this overwhelming need to see a psychic came over me. Up until that point, I actually had fear around it. I'd never done it. I wasn't interested in it, but this calmness just came around, and, you know, I went and saw somebody. And for me, it wasn't around specifically what she had to share with me. It was more around, again, that awareness and opening your eyes to go, hang on, there's something else out there that I haven't even considered that might be able to help me through this time. And what that did for me was allow me to start looking at alternative ways of healing myself through this period and finding energy work, which I think is a lot of people have probably heard, you know, and it's part of quantum physics, which a lot of people would have heard. Everything is made up of energy. Okay. So for me, it started sending me down that path of one thing after another, and it became fascinating to me. I found energy healing. I ended up with my mentor. She came up with the idea around, have you ever considered doing a business, which I hadn't. And that's when, you know, looking at this energy work plus what I was good at, the idea around women's retreats came up. And because I'm naturally good at organizing things, so everything just seemed to start to fit and synchronize. And that's how your sanctuary space came about, which I'm going to say soft launched the following year, because I was still working in corporate, and this was a bit of a side gig. But I quickly realized that I loved helping women, and after I ran a couple of the retreats, it really solidified that for me. But how else can I support women on whatever journey they're on in their life? And that's when coaching came up. I'd always had a mentor or a coach, so I became certified in professional and life coaching. I completed training in mindfulness, which has completely shifted a lot in how I do things. And I also found Reiki. So did my Reiki certification as well. And you know, it's all around understanding energy and how that works and how we can do things differently and building resilience and what it means to lead yourself first and foremost in a sustainable way. Because we can make change, right? But it doesn't necessarily stick if we're not doing it sustainably. And the one other thing I found as well was human design, which I'll talk about a little bit later.
No, now.
Ah,
No, you're talking to a Karuna Reiki master. So, I mean, I came on it in 2003. So we love the woo-woo. Um,
Great.
and my middle daughter has some gifts that she's always struggled with, but I think she's coming to terms with and starting to recognize and come more into empowerment. So we have to have both the physical cellular health, but we also have to have the mind, body, spirit connection, right? And that
Yes.
is quantum physics, and science does back it up. We are energetic beings. So I love that. Can we jump into some human design? So you say that you have programs. And human design is part of it. So a lot of people don't know what human design is. I actually just learned about it 2 years ago. So I am still super brand new. And I'm like, I can't know all the things, Jody, because I'm like, oh, I should learn this. I'm like, but I
Yes.
can't learn all the things. Like I need to share some of the knowledge and let other people do it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
tell us how you incorporate human design into your programs.
Yeah. So taking it back to basically what human design is, it's a self-awareness tool, right? So it is there to help you understand how your natural energy rhythms should flow. And so, for example, it's whether maybe your design is around you need structure in your life or you need to allow flow in your life, whether from a decision-making perspective, you can make quick decisions or you need to take your time with decisions. So it really shows you what's the best for you, because all of us are wired differently. Like we all know that. And the blueprint for your human design shows you how to work with the energy for you rather than work with it rather than against it. So with the foundations of human design, there are 3 foundations to it. There's your type, there's your strategy and your authority. And that's the piece that I've become certified in because I feel like there's enough there to really start making shifts, particularly for people who maybe haven't done much around energy before. And it can really open your eyes up to see, okay, I want to learn more. And with the coaching for me, I will usually incorporate this into my coaching container at the beginning. We'll obviously have the first session with to understand what it is that person needs support with, but then look at their human design and how we can shift things if we need to for them to feel a bit more aligned in how they're doing things. And then let's start working towards the shifts and changes that they can make to support whatever their goals are. So
I
I'll
love
just quickly I'll just quickly touch on so the 3 foundations. So your type is how your energy is designed to interact with the world, right? Your strategy is how your type navigates with the least amount of resistance. And your authority is your internal guidance for your decision making. So, for example, for me, my authority is emotional. And what that means is I go through this whole set of emotions when a decision-making opportunity comes up. And the emotions can be exciting, they can be good, they can maybe be not so good. But a lot of the time when you're looking at the good emotions, like you're excited about something, you think, I should make the decision based off that. But that's not necessarily the case if your energy type is that emotional, because how that was impacting me when I didn't understand it is I would say yes to a lot of stuff. I think similar to you, Jody, I'm a lover of learning. So it's like there's this new shiny thing here and I want to learn about it, incorporate it and do it. But when you stop and think about it later, after you've already signed up for that course or the training or whatever it is, and then you go, oh, I actually don't have the time to do this. Or I had forgotten I'd previously signed up to something that was similar to this and I haven't done anything about it. So what I understand now with that authority for me is feel into whatever it is that comes up for me initially when the decision-making opportunity comes up, and then sit with it for 48 hours, probably max, revisit it, and then go, now how do I feel about it?
Yeah.
And it's from that space where I make decisions.
Yeah.
Not from the space I was before. And it really just gives you this sense of relief, to be honest. And
Well,
yeah.
and I'm thinking that like even for the businesswoman, like I was in a room filled with corporate women, which is way out of my element over, and I was super excited, but like, how did I get here? Right? Like, wow. And even just you talking in my generator, manifesting generator brain, is just
Yeah.
going like, if women knew what their human design was so that they could actually work their business and work their deadlines and work their decision making into that not mold, but like who they are internally, right? Immediately their cells would respond and their adrenals, like we talked about, would start de-stressing, right? Like what I think what you do incorporating like burnout for women and incorporating the human design and teaching people how to interrelate those together, that's gold.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Look, and I do have to say, like for me, when I found it last year, it was completely out of the blue. I did end up doing, and there's a lot to human design. I find it so fascinating. I had my full report done from both from a personal and professional level last year, and I'm, as much as I would love to go into the advanced level of it, I just, I have to pull myself back, and I just want to focus on the foundations. As I said, I feel like there's enough there that really will help people from a starting perspective. And the other thing I've learned is it's not a lot of people know about it. And I really want to look at how I can support women in that corporate space, particularly because that's the world I've come from, to see how they can do things differently.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
to start that shift, because it doesn't have to be like we've always thought it
So we've got
needs
about
to.
7 minutes left, give or take. Okay.
Mhm.
I know you have so much more that we want to dive into, and we could talk for hours.
Yes.
But what are 3 things that you would absolutely do when you're working with a client that you want people to know so that they can start implementing some of these strategies that you think everybody would like to know?
Yeah. So I just want to touch briefly for those people who don't know on what burnout is, because you need to be able to recognize the signs, right? And so there are 3 components to it. Effectively, it's your emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion. So that's the adrenal fatigue. There's also depersonalization. So you become quite cynical about things, whether that's in your personal or professional life. And there's this reduced sense of accomplishment. So I suffered from that as well. And what that looked like was when I finished my degree, where logically in my mind, I knew I should be so excited and proud of myself for this achievement. In my body, I felt nothing. And I had people around me going, you should be so proud. What are you doing to celebrate? And all that sort of stuff, which I did end up celebrating because that's what I felt was expected of me. But it wasn't because I felt it myself.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just this numbness that you feel. And then an uncommon perspective of burnout is that it happens because you work too much. And that's not necessarily the case, because when you learn about energy as well, your energy may be built for that. But what it is about is working in conflict to your energy patterns. It's chronic activation of your stress response,
Yeah,
the nervous system. It's disconnection from meaning and purpose. It's lack of recovery between stresses.
mm-hmm.
So there's a lot more to it than what people think. And there's also, even smaller signs to it, like, your productivity shifting, you feeling triggered or quite snappy. You respond quite snappy at things a lot quicker than maybe you would have before. There's just frustration about a lot of things going on.
Mm-hmm.
So there are other pieces to it that, when you allow yourself the time to recognize it, it will give you the chance to pick up on those things before you're in full adrenal fatigue and burnout. So these 3 core shifts are the key bits I would love to share with everyone. And the first one is around awareness. So you cannot change anything unless you're aware of it. All right? That really is the first step for any change in your life. And if you don't allow that and you don't give yourself the space to see, then nothing will change. And when you allow that awareness, it's about noticing things that are happening without judgment. There's no judging here. Give yourself the compassion to just see what's really going on inside for you. And a tip around this that I would give everyone is come at it from a space of curiosity. Because when you allow yourself to be curious, your mind views things from a different perspective. And allow yourself to be honest. There is no right or wrong here. There's no good or bad. And once you can do that, then the rest will follow.
And that's why
please,
that's why it's people that work with coaches get results so much more quickly than somebody who does not work with a coach, because we actually provide that container for that awareness to happen because of certain questions that we ask, because we have no judgment, no good or bad.
exactly.
Right? We allow that space to bring the awareness to come forward. And when we see that transition, that light bulb or that like aha moment that happens, it's magical. So I 100% agree. You need awareness.
Yeah. Then it's about pausing. So this is where the self-leadership piece comes in. Give yourself the space to then do what you need to do to heal and move forward. So it may be around that supplementation. It may be around hiring a coach. It may be around energy work. But give yourself the space to pause. You don't have to have the answer right there and then. And one other thing I will mention here is, I know it sounds counterintuitive to stop, but that's the space where you can come off the autopilot, bring yourself into the present moment and be mindful and just observe and look at things. One thing for me that I noticed, and the more I learned about energy work, was masculine energy versus feminine. So the masculine around do, which, you know, is the world that we live in these days. But the feminine energy, well, people, there's an assumption there that it's weak. It's actually not. And it's important for both men and women. And what it allows you to do is to be. And in that space of being, you can be creative.
Mm-hmm.
You can open yourself up to other insights. It actually gives me goosebumps talking about it. So it's allowing yourself to be
100%.
mindful and present.
Well,
And that's
there's a
when
reason
magic can
for that.
happen.
There's a reason for that, because men are on a 24-hour cycle. So that's how they can go, because every day is the same for them. But women, we have 4 different phases throughout the month.
Mhm.
So each one of these phases has a specific superpower. And that phase where we don't want to do anything, that's actually a really nice stop phase. The pause phase to reassess, to make sure things are on track, and to check in with yourself.
100%.
So there is scientific, like, I will back that up 100%.
Love it. Love it. And then I think I'll move to the third shift is support and asking for it, which I'm guilty of this. As women, I know we struggle with this. It's asking for help, right? Because we feel like we need to have the answer. We support everybody else, and a lot of the time we put ourselves last. So asking for help, I really would love people to shift the perspective on that and not see it as a failure, but see it as part of your self-leadership skills and a strength. Because when you think about it, back in a long time ago, it was all about community, doing things as a community and supporting each other and helping where we can. So it would be wonderful if we could start shifting things back to that perspective. And, you know, when I suffered through the burnout, I have to say initially there was a lot of shame around it. So I struggled to ask for help. But when I did, oh my gosh, what a relief that was. And part of it was with my family and saying to them, look, this is what's going on for me. I cannot do things at the level that I used to do it before, and I really need your help. And I feel a lot of the times with your family, and this is where as women we can also have that judgment and not so compassionate with ourselves, is to think that our family will think less of us if we do this. But they usually won't.
No.
And it also, I think for me, I have a daughter, and can you imagine if we pass this and share this and role model this to our daughters, the difference, the positive difference it can make in their life as well. Like that's a gift that we can share
And
with others.
That was one of the main topics in Toronto in this leadership conference that I got to be a part of, is just the roundtable conversations about, we need to start shifting. We need to start asking for help. We need to start delegating. We need to start empowering, and not so micromanaging, and not being Shira and, I can do it all, right? Yes, we can do it all when we have a team, right? And that team is there to help, whether it be family, whether it be coworkers, whether it be management, other CEOs or owners of the company, right? No matter where you are at, there's always help. And we as women thrive when we support each other.
Yeah. 100%.
On that, I'm going to stop the live. So if you were watching the replay, please type in #replay. Let us know where you're from, what time zone you're in, because this is Australia and Canada. So I don't think we can get any further apart. I would love it. Thank you for joining us. And I'm just going to open it to those that are backstage with us for quick questions, quick comments, anything that is like that. So we have a lot of fun backstage. If you want to join next time, please leave a comment saying join, and I will send you the registration link. We do this every other Tuesday. Thank you. Bye.